It's it's November 21st. It's a Sunday. Nucci took down the corner pattern that I had, and he took down the flag for a moment. He had this burst that he needed a clean house, and so he started cleaning until there was nothing left. I was walking, and this morning, I can taste in the air. There's like a metallic, I call it radiological decay is really what it is. It's this weird, when I was little, the television sets from the 1960s and 70s and even 50s had this. I just told Miguel from the Navy this. I'm like, do you remember the TVs when they first came out? They were thick in girth or width or depth. They had like this radiological tube system they worked off of. But the screen had this static charge wherever it was like, don't sit too close to the television. You've got to sit on the couch away from the television because there's something about it. But if you went close to the television screen, you could smell there was like something coming off of it, and your face would get like sucked into like a mini vortex, like magnets. And Miguel said, if you put his arm up to it, his hair would try to stick. I was like, I know that if you put like a piece of cloth up, sometimes it would get stuck. But it usually had to be on, or shortly after it was turned off, it would crackle. And so, but it had a very particular smell when it heated up, and when you smelt it, your olfactory, when it made the sense of smell, it would sometimes, you could taste it as well, from the air. It's an odd human occurrence. But then they did away with the thick radiological tubes that caused the radiological static, whatever that was. But now, and they turned them into thin, I don't know, they call it plasma, but I don't know if it's like controlled nuclear plasma inside of a frame, but it doesn't pull the unconditioned into its frame. I'm not quite sure how the old TVs worked when they had rabbit ears on top, and you had to there was two pieces of metal they called rabbit ears, and you had to move them. But I said to Miguel this morning, I was like, I'm walking today, I was like, and I've got that taste like I've only had when I was little and I went too close to the television because I heard crackling and I wanted to see what it was coming from, and I would try to touch it, and it would adhere to your fingertip and like crackle, like Rice Krispie treats on your tongue but on your finger. And so, and then I said to him the other day, I said, I was walking, and it's almost like I couldn't audibly hear. Normally I can't audibly hear or visually see whatever it is that I walk through that damages my skin or cuts the side of my lip. But the other day I was walking towards the refrigerator, and clear as day, I actually got an audio volt, like zzz, and it went straight across here, and it cut my lip, and now I got like this little scab on top of it. And it was the first time that I can remember, but it was so electrically charged, and it was bizarre. But in the house, stop, Nooch, I'm busy. So that happened. I'm trying to think of this. So I don't know why the electric or the, it's like I'm picking up a lot of radio static, like whatever that sensation, whatever that science is called that the old TVs used to work off of, because I don't have an education on how or a vocabulary. They just sold them in the stores, or from me at the time I arrived in the living room and it was there. And then I just kind of studied the way the sounds and what it was doing. But then they disappeared. And my children, when they arrived in Century, well, the last year and the last decade of Century 19 and into the 20th century, they no longer made TVs that you could study like that. It's now just a picture frame that lights up, but there's no dazzle to it, and there's nothing to question, really, other than the amount of light hitting the visual cortex. So Miguel says to me, he says, it's so interesting. He said, and he said this morning, he's like, I like your Air Force look. I said, is that what they call this? And so he said to me that that the way that I describe things and the way that I see things is differently than the people out on the street. They just walk about, they don't see or hear or feel things the way that I do. I'm very sensitive. And I'm like, right, no, I get that. I've always been that way. And then quietly outside the conversation with Miguel before I entered the residence or the abode, I was thinking of when I was in summer camp when I was like 5, 6, 7. I went to West Hills Day Camp. I went to Robin Hood Day Camp. They used to offer in the summertime as a treat to the children ice pops, not ice cream, but ice pops. And then every now and again they would get something called a creamsicle, which was an orange ice pop on the outside with vanilla ice cream on the inside. Oh, it was like the most awful, awful thing that they offered ever. When I would be like so excited that it was like ice pop time, and then they're like, "Oh, today's creamsicles," and I'd be like, "Nope, I'm alright." Ice cream sandwiches, I was fine. Flavored water, ice juice, I was fine. You put ice cream in the middle with orange ice juice on the outside. It's just gross. Not supposed to work that way. These are like the little nuances I was pre-programmed with for dislikes or distemper. I don't know, whatever. But I know that they're significant for other purposes for this one area. I just don't know what. Star 1978, Star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. It's Earth, Solar System, Milky Way, Universe, Galaxy is broken. I also did not know, Miguel is a wealth of information, so whoever sent him, I thank you for one God's gift at the moment, for being more worldly and experienced than myself, and for taking the time to speak with me. He said, he said, if you were a bird, I said, they say these things like left wing, or that sounds like a right wing thing. I said, Miguel, if that's the case, my two wings were broken. He says, what kind of bird would you be? Would you be an eagle? I go, no, I'd be a condor. I was like, but a condor is really like a metal bird for me. It's not really like I don't want to be a buzzard, whatever. He goes, do you know where they're from? And I was like, no. So he told me they're from the Andes, which I didn't realize. And then he said something about Simone, which I had never heard of. And then we got into something about French, because I said, I saw a man on TV about this vaccination thing, and he's like, we will conquer this together. And I'm thinking to myself, in one area, the word is I concur. And for me, that's like my female, like I just agree. So this way I don't get in arguments that I don't want to be in. But then in a male sense, it's I concur, and it's spelled the same way, I believe. So that gets confusing. Let me think about it. So then he said something about in Latin America they go by French law. I had no idea. And then we have a different constitution up here. More things didn't know because nobody teaches these things in school. So you can protect yourself and know why and what and how to protect oneself. So I find that interesting. I just don't know how it's relatable to what I'm going through at the moment. Then he said in France, or in French law, the lawyers have to take you on. If they don't, you could report them, and they get in trouble. But here, you have to have money, and any lawyer can not take on clients. I'm like, why is that exactly? I was like, this has been like a really difficult problem since I've been starved of money and avenue to make enough money in order to find a reputable lawyer to protect myself. I'm just confused how this all works. And he said, yes. So I'm still at a loss, but I'm still trying to figure out my way and why I would get zapped just like walking to the refrigerator through the middle of the air in some kind of, I don't know what it's, the words for whatever that TV tube technology was that they were selling in the United States before I got here. But I feel that whatever science principle that works off of, or whatever science logic that works off of, however it's explained, is currently how my personal health vortex is, and why I'm picking up this like unconditioned electrics, almost like, because I'm already at a blood group and a blood type that is not consistent with the majority here. So it's almost causing me, from what I can tell, if that's the way that, I mean, I'd be minority on that report, and then that would put me in a more dangerous position, just for being around it. Which is why I wanted to get out of ozone and into a safety zone. But I showed my children the map last night. I'm like, I want to let you know that the A safety zone ends at Ukraine, Turkey area. I was like, and it goes to France and Spain. I was like, on this map right here. I was like, and if you see, I've got it almost a balance as a pinnacle for a safety zone. I was like, an O is over north to south on this side, north to south on this side. So, and then I was trying to explain to Benjamin, I was like, there's a communication method. I use ZZ to SS or 22 to 55, because if I'm saying something that I'm not happy about in a 22 zone, then I don't want 55 to double down and get mad at me or get me in trouble, but it might not be relatable because they might have something that's more respectable where they are. So I was like, it's just a communication method, Ben. And he goes, nobody else does that. And I was like, right, I get that, but mom has to be careful how she speaks, because I have a very specific situation and I don't want to be like this or in this situation forever. So there's like, I'm at the bottom of the rung of the ladder, and eventually I'd like to figure out how to reach like a higher rung so I'm out of harm's way. That's it. I was like, so I'm trying to constantly orient myself. I met one of the locals, his dog's name, he said a Greek god's name, Zeus, and I was like, I know Thor is thunder. I was like, but Zeus, is that the sky god? I was like, they don't teach ordination around here. I know he's so much more important and powerful, but I don't, because again, it's not something that they taught in school about the different gods being Greek or the Roman gods at all. So it's hard to orient myself and speak. Well, that's why I don't normally speak on it, except to point out how non-visceral it is at the moment, because I can't even find the grappling hooks and the patterns to get a grip on how it relates in importance and how it was built in like a Heliopolis kind of a way. Star 1978, Star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. It's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York. 11361. Earth, Solar System, Milky Way, Universe, Galaxies, broken. What's up, baby doll?